That's one of Jen's favorite buildings. The Apthorpe? I think that's the Apthorpe. So I thought we'd take a walk down to Riverside Park this morning instead of Central Park. There's Fairway Market. That is one of two big markets on the Upper West Side. Zabar's being the other one. Big meaning like popular, known. Like Cinderella's up here. There's a couple of other ones. Morton Williams. Fairway and Zabar's are kind of like go-tos. Trader Joe's is up here too, on 72nd, which gets quite busy. So we're right in between Broadway and West End. Where we'll walk to is, I think we'll head south on West End and then cut across towards the river, the Hudson. Here's a pier out there that gets you some pretty good views down, like downtown, both of, like, kind of towards Jersey City, Liberty Island, Ellis Island, and then I think you get a little sneak peek of the financial district. We're in One World Trade. I think we can make this. Yeah, this is West End Avenue. It's mostly, what we know it as is mostly for like doctor's offices, professional services, attorneys, legal professionals, that kind of thing. What's great about West End Avenue, I'm sure there's many things. What's great, selfishly for me, is this is just a straight shot down to like Midtown, to like Hell's Kitchen. Like if you want to go to, let's say that there's a conference at the Javits Center. West End's great because it's just a straight shot down. Like, don't all the buildings go down? Definitely. But if you like walk down Columbus, you're going to run into Columbus Circle. If you walk down Amsterdam, that bangs into Broadway. If you walk into Broadway, that kind of cuts into the center of Manhattan, whereas like West End just straight down. I forget, I think 70th is where you cut down. 73rd, now 72nd is the big, one of the big throughways. It's like there's mostly one-way streets here. Odds go east to west, evens go west to east. There's a couple of larger streets that cut across the west side, and 72nd's one of them. The difference with 72nd and the other big streets is that 72nd ends at the park. The rest of them go through the park, through like under the park. Not like under the park, but the streets sink. And the nice thing about that is if you're in the park, you don't see cars. You don't hear cars. You barely even see some of the skyscrapers, especially if you're in the middle of spring or summer. That little building right there on the corner.
Hello.
Good morning. The red awning. That's Kozar's. Delicious. It's like a Jewish bakery. Bialys and bagels. That's New Jersey over there. Yeah, I think as soon as we get past this awning here, you'll start to see like Hudson Yards. That's where I think it's called the Vortex, and then they've got the other building. I don't know, maybe it's the same building that you can walk out on the ledge, but it's all like glass buildings. It's really cool. Okay, this is 71st. So Hudson Yards is like in the 30s. Which if you're down in the 30s and you're walking down there, might as well get up on the High Line. That's like typical New York. That little small building. Next to two, fairly tall high rises. A lot of times those are protected buildings. And the community just needs to decide whether they want to hold on to that building. Especially that looks like it's a heritage building. Or clear it and put in some more like residential space. So let's make a right. To the left over there is Lincoln Center area, which is top 3 places in New York for me. Okay, so there's like maybe the pier's like it's 66th. I say that already? I looked it up last night. I just normally come upon it, but it's cool. There's like a pier that goes out. I think you can fish off of it. I don't know what you catch in the Hudson. And then you come back from the pier and there's like a really nice cafe that they just redeveloped. Maybe that's at 70th? I don't know. So these buildings, these taller buildings that look all pretty similar on the right side, those used to be Trump buildings. They were Trump residential buildings. Beautiful views of the Hudson, and probably depending on which side of the building you get, nice little view of downtown or uptown. I think uptown is, maybe at this point, is like the George Washington Bridge. These are like, well kept parking. They've got commercial business on the bottom floors. However, I think during the first Trump administration, New York voted to take the names off of the buildings. And then that's the Hudson River Parkway, or the Hudson Parkway. So that'll take you, so there's an east side, freeway, highway, parkway. That's the FDR. And on the west side, it's the Hudson. They converge downtown. That's where you can get like the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, get you over to Brooklyn under the East River. Or if you're looking to get across the Hudson, you take the Lincoln Tunnel. That's that new gateway project that they've been talking about. Yeah, these buildings on the left here used to have the Trump name on them. But that gateway project, is that $12 billion project, which I didn't realize that okay, yeah, we want to get down there right underneath the highway there, or parkway, whatever. I didn't realize that something like 30% of East Coast commerce goes through the Lincoln Tunnel. And the Lincoln Tunnel was built 115 years ago and apparently sustained massive damage in 2012 during Hurricane Sandy. Like the tunnels got flooded. And the problem with that is that there's salt water, and I guess salt water does bad things to infrastructure. Yeah, I think the Hudson River's still a little frozen over. This way. So the Gateway project is they're basically going to build a second set of tunnels to go across the Hudson, because the Lincoln Tunnel carries like Amtrak. I think it's a couple 100,000 cars a day, and all that commerce coming across gets stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel. All that traffic and commerce gets stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel. So they're trying to build 2 more tunnels that'll go across the Hudson. And then while those 2 are open, they'll shut down one of the Lincoln Tunnel tunnels. Hey, it's a goose. Work on that one, get it all fixed up and repaired. And then do the same for open that one back up and close the other one, so they'll get them all cleaned up. So this walkway, or I guess that over there, that goes, I think, pretty much all the way up and down the west side of Manhattan. So you could take this all the way down to like One World Trade, the financial center, Water Street. You can hop on your bike, get on a city bike, and head down there. I mean, that's your view. That's not a bad commute. So that yellow thing up there is the cafe that they redeveloped. Well, it's pretty nice to begin with. I think they just made it bigger, maybe nicer. And then that's the pier right there that goes out. So we'll walk out there and see what's going on. But you can see the Hudson's more or less frozen over. There's a, I don't know if that's an icebreaker or what that ship is, but I brought the long lens again today. I kind of enjoyed that last weekend. And during the week I've had my film camera out, which has got that wider lens on it. Like, I wonder if I can get this guy on the pier and how that might look. I think the problem with the rule of thirds and the long lens is, at least for autofocus, I don't really know. Like, I have the focal point in the middle of the lens or display. So does that mean that whatever's in that rule of thirds spot is not in focus? Whatever. Yeah, Pier 1 Cafe. I wonder if I can get that boat crashing into some snow or ice. Maybe like get the tip of it. Yeah, so as we get it, we'll get to the end down here, and you'll see uptown and downtown. You see the sun starting to pop up at the reflections off of those buildings, those east-facing buildings. I think that's Hoboken over there. Maybe Hoboken's a little further down. Yeah, I think Hoboken might be down to the left a little bit. This might be Weehawken. Maybe Weehawken's a little further up. So if you look all the way past the piers, you see the bridge out there. That's the George Washington Bridge. That more or less takes you from New York to New Jersey. So I've driven a car. So we've lived in New York on and off for 10, 12 years. I've driven a car 3 times. Once was for like an event in Staten Island, and it was during the Paris attacks. So it was a little creepy going over the Verrazano Bridge and the BQE, the Brooklyn Queens Express, then down in the tunnel to get back into the city, get back in Manhattan. A little creepy listening to the radio as all that stuff was unfolding. So that was 1, 2. We went to IKEA. What if I can get that ship? Yeah, I don't think the lens knows what the heck to focus on. Yeah, we went to IKEA in Red Hook in Brooklyn. We rented a van. Like, I've driven in other places. I've even driven in other countries. There's something unique about driving in New York where you're trying to use the navigation system, and it's like, take this exit, and this exit, it's like in 20 feet. So that was our IKEA trip. And then the last one was, we drove out to maybe 4 times. We drove out to the Hamptons, which reminded me of the George Washington Bridge, because we took the George Washington Bridge to the Hamptons, and that's not the direction you should go. And the other time we drove was out to Shelter Island, which is like at the tip of, I think, the North Fork of Long Island. And you got to get on like a car ferry to get to Shelter Island. That was pretty cool. That was when the Boston thing happened. Maybe we shouldn't drive anymore. Yeah. So if you look all the way, I don't know if you could see that lit building, like that vertical light. So that's I think they call it the edge or the ledge. You can kind of see maybe like on the top left, there's like a little ridge sticking out. That's Hudson Yards. And I don't know, somewhere beyond that is One World Trade. Maybe we're just too close. And then the right-hand side, you can see like over this building here that's in front of us, that's Jersey City, more or less. But the Hudson isn't totally frozen, and there's definitely some weird looking ice. But the buildings across the way, can I get that one with the sun poking right into it? No, didn't feel like that focused enough, but we'll see how that turns out. Yeah, and that's New York. So if you're wondering, wait, isn't this the Hudson that Sully parked his plane? Yeah, so he came over from, he was coming over from Newark, which I think is that way. And then they thought he could land in Teterboro, which is that way, but he couldn't get there in time. So he flew basically in the middle of George Washington Bridge and just, made a casual, slow descent. And then down like on maybe like 24th, 28th, maybe 14th, there's the Chelsea Piers. They have like I don't know, it's kind of like that building there, except for it's a little more open, a little more busy, and it landed or parked itself right there. So yeah, that's the Hudson. That's Sully's River. Let's see if I can maybe get the cafe from here. And I kind of like the long lens for like minimalism. What do I do? Do I just shoot this like right in the middle, I guess? Yeah, you could see some of the water towers up there. If I can get that one, it's a little isolated from the rest of them. I think there's like a little steam coming out from it. Yeah, it's like in the 20s this morning, like upper 20s. I was talking to someone on Friday. I walked over to like 41st on the east side, and it was like 22 degrees. He said, how's it out there? And I said, it's actually pretty nice. I mean, when the weekend before it was 14 below, 20s aren't too bad. But now we're in the 20s, it's cold. That little light fixture on top of that building right there with like the Oh, that might look nice because it's like all backlit. Can we get that centered? Central Park is a little more busy than out here. They used to do fireworks out here for 4th of July. They like park a barge out here and just shoot fireworks off. We used to live uptown a little bit. It's kind of fun to walk down here. It's an easy walk. Not to say that this morning wasn't an easy walk, but it's an easier walk. It's a shorter walk. It's like this guy in the pink beanie, or this runner in the pink beanie. What if I can get him like in the middle of the cafe? Get him against a pole. Generally, I don't like to take photos of people. I get like a video strapped to me, and I don't think it matters. I don't like to take pictures of photos of people, or at least like their discernible faces. I don't know if that's a privacy thing or whatever, but I don't think I'd want that. I'm not a big fan of being in front of the camera. So I generally try not to get photos of people's faces, or maybe like identifiable photos. When we go to protest, which is probably the wrong time to shirk that rule, it's a little bit harder because you're in the middle of many people. Yeah, cafe looks nice. This is all filled with chairs and tables and stuff, and it's very busy. There's also a lounge. Maybe we'll walk by it. We'll walk up here a little bit. Yeah, it's like I mean, I think it stays on this side of the pathway, but it overlooks the Hudson. And I think they have like TVs and food and drinks. It's just kind of like a nice little. It's actually kind of a big cafe area. Very popular. This week, I built a new AI product. A new product based on AI. I've been thinking and reading a lot about the collision of AI and human beings. Hey, it's Lewis Hamilton. Nick Thompson, I think that's his name. He's the head guy at The Atlantic. He does a lot of, short 2-3 minute TikTok clips of his thoughts on AI and the media, and, him as a human leader, like a leader of humans, like how that collision all comes together. And I think that if we're irresponsible and not looking at AI and its impact on our lives, You can get low enough, like sit on a bench. Ooh, it's cold. And get the ice along with those. Those houses are cool across the way. I'm assuming that'll focus on it okay. Actually, let me see if I can do it again. I'll get these ones over here. Those ones might be a little bit better because they've got the reflection of the sun coming off of them. Let's see, what time is it? I gotta get back around 8. If I get that reflection in that one window over there. Can I zoom in that far? No, it's not gonna be any good. Hey, but it's digital, so it doesn't cost me anything. So yeah, AI. You know, there's this agent thing that's going on right now. I mean, it's been going on, but it's, you know, kind of hitting the public a little bit. The mold bot, Claude bot. I think what's fascinating with that is it's very cool. So you have to give this agent total like admin access to your device. I'm definitely not opposed to that. I think there's still restrictions, but I mean, once it's out there, it's out there. Yeah, so I think that, what's it called, like the 70-second boat launch, maybe? I think that might be up here on the right. Kind of like how these pillars are lined up. So I listened to this interview during the week. I think I have maybe like 10 minutes left of it, but it's the guy that runs Anthropic, Dario. I really want to say Dario Franchitti. I can't remember his last name. I think maybe it starts with an A. Dario. You know, he runs Anthropic, and he's talking about like his own mental journey with AI and what he's doing with like Claude and, you know, some other tools that they're building. This is also the trick. I forget how you get back up to the streets. Like this, you would think that this would do it, but I think that just curves up and around. It doesn't actually get to the street. I don't think we're quite at 72nd yet. So it must be coming up here. We got time. And his thinking and application of AI, certainly as a tech leader, is interesting. I think the host, Ross, I don't remember his last name either. It's part of the New York Times Opinion group of podcasts. He's, you know, very much a conservative, and he's talking about AI and its impact in today's world, tomorrow's world, as much as they're aware of what they think the next steps are. So anyway, so it's coming, right? It's here, it's coming. It's going to be a big change. It's changing already. You know, we'll have overblown assumptions and overblown actions that will have to be taken back. We're already seeing that. I think ultimately what will happen is this next generation of workers, when they retire, there won't be backfill replacements for those roles. AI will pick up some of that work. The new entrants, college kids that might be into the marketplace, and the schools that are graduating them will need to take a step up from what we're accustomed to, what we in the current marketplace, labor force, are accustomed to. These entry-level jobs are going to shift pretty quickly. However, if I'm a kid coming into the job place, if I'm a graduate coming into the job market, the match between what I'm being told in my education versus what's actually in the market, that's going to be out of sync for a little bit. And I think they need to figure that part of it out pretty quickly. Which way do I go here? Like, is this the running and walking side? It's nice that they got arrows, but who goes where? Right, so I think that's all going to have to be elevated. Right, filing and all that stuff is probably already a thing of the past. It'll continue to be a thing of the past for the small businesses. I think it'll just be a gradual shift over time, and we'll all work differently in 20 or 30 years. And just like we can't believe people used calculators, at some point we'll realize we can't believe people use spreadsheets or use their brains for spreadsheet-related tasks, which hurts me because I really enjoy using spreadsheets. Do I use spreadsheets like I used to? Definitely not. So I think that evolution will just continue as an example. Huh, that's cool, that's open. Okay, I think I'm gonna try to go up this pathway and see if I can get up to the street. So anyway, I built a product this week. The foundation of the product is ChatGPT. It's actually the free version of ChatGPT. I do believe like the paid version is cool and all. However, whether it's self-directed or forced, I think taking a break from these tools is good. I mean, they're still in their infancy. And I think if we go down these rabbit holes, these AI rabbit holes, I think we get ourselves in a little bit of trouble. So I think the free one's actually a good one to model it after. Okay, let's see if I can pull up my phone, because if we're close to 72nd, which I think that's 72nd up there, we should be able to go under the Hudson, the Parkway. Typing with gloves is always fun. Yeah, there's 72nd. We're pretty close. Actually, no, we passed 72nd. Okay, so I need to figure out how to get back up that way. Yeah, so it's based on ChatGPT. I'm sure it'll work with any, chat model. My hope is whenever Apple gets his act together, it'll work with the Apple chat feature, which I still don't think that they're going to bring out their own, specific product, ChatGPT-like product. I think it'll be integrated into Siri, which they kind of have already. They'll just leverage or just use the functionality of memory a little bit better. I also looked at and am building a private LLM on the iPad. The challenge with that is, at least in a first version, it's not really useful, partly because you have to have a specific iPad version, like an M series iPad, and then the impact, the resource impact on your device is quite heavy. Okay, so I don't know what to do here. So I think I'll stay on this side, but just walk on the right side. I'll grab a photo of the bridge now. There's a little bit more light out. Yeah, it's just at least I got one of the towers. Yeah, so the resource strain on the iPad is just too much. Like I could feel it getting warm. So I just don't think it's quite ready for that yet. Plus, you really have to build out the specifics of the private LLM. The configuration file, as it may be. So I think that's the way that would normally go. I'll try to sneak up this way. Yes, I think this is the Boat Basin Cafe. I think that's what it's called. A little tricky trying to get in here. You can't even tell. So the product I built is based on ChatGPT, the free version, and then it's got a couple of files to build. So you're basically building your own LLM. That's the configuration file. And then within that, there's specific scenarios that I'm building. Like I'll start out with 3 scenarios, right? And these are more or less like planning models. The idea here is to go back to the collision of humans and AI. Right, we want to leverage that AI for some thinking stuff, like administrative thinking, and maybe some, hey, did you think about this as well? And also, hey, if you're in a corporate environment or you're in any kind of environment and you're putting, let's say, a product out to market, did you check with your operations team downstream? Are they ready to support this? Did you check with your legal team to make sure any kind of naming or trademarks aren't being violated? Did you check with your sales team to make sure that they're aware this is coming and this is where they get all their assets? You know what I mean? Like those kinds of things that is, I wouldn't say like a checklist, but I would say it's more of like a recommendation list of, hey, think about all this stuff too. I have no idea where this is going to draw me out. Normally I would just be going underneath the Hudson Parkway. Maybe this is just an elevated way of doing it. No idea. Am I going to end up like in Jersey? So there's configuration file, which is more or less the hearts and brains of the AI piece. There's the, oh, that's nice. I wonder if I can get this with the sun coming through. Ooh, it's nice and slippery. So these folks are coming off of the Hudson Parkway. Yeah, configuration file, and then there's the scenarios, right? So I'll have very specific scenarios that follow very specific prompts that'll output very specific things. I'll include a real world example, so I could probably use that even in some like marketing and advertising stuff. Okay, so what do you want me to do here? Oh, keep on going. And then a README file. Like, okay, thanks for picking this up. Here's what you do next. And then from a commercial perspective, so I figured I'd do three different things. One is, like, here you go. You can have this and do whatever you want to do with it. So that's an annual fee with an annual configuration update. So this is for folks who, you know, don't necessarily need a ton of updates. They have a pretty static workflow. They only do a couple scenarios during the year. They don't launch a ton of products. They don't do a ton of press. They don't do a ton of new things. So on an annual basis, it'll be $100, less than $100. Buy it, you get access to it forever. And then if you will renew at the end of your period, you get access to the most recent configuration file, which is more or less, right, everything that everybody's learned over the past 12 months. You get that file updated. You still leverage it with the scenarios that originally came with the implementation. That's part one. Part two is like more of an owner model. I kind of want to get that. What is that, a rook? What's the diagonal piece in chess? Can I get that framed right there? Oh, I don't like how. Oh, if I can get that backlit, that'd be awesome. Huh. I don't like this as much as I thought I would. Yeah, so the first one's more of an operator model. The second one is more of an owner model. That's somebody who does handle a bunch of updates on a regular basis. Oh, that's 79. And so instead of annual updates, we'll do quarterly updates. And those quarterly updates will include configuration file updates and new scenarios. So I'm assuming that we'll do 2 new scenarios every 3 months. So what is that? 2 times 4. So that's 8 new scenarios a year. So apparently you can go in there in that building, the one with the diagonal chess piece or pointy chess piece. You can go in there and it's like not a museum necessarily, but you can walk in there and see what's in there. Yeah, so the owner model assumes that you're just doing more work, right? You're doing more things, new things. You're kind of that challenge of implementing new things for you, your company, your clients. And so these new scenarios might be helpful for that. Look at this. There's a tiny little spot up here. So this blue awning up here is Blondie's. I've been in here once. It's a sports bar, and they're supposed to have the best chicken wings. I don't know. But beyond that, there's another spot that has really good pizza. Here's the next block. So this is Amsterdam up here. I think it used to be this spot here, under a different name. I gotta get out of the sun. Yeah, so that operator model will just get more updates more regularly. It's also, oh, can I get that water tower and that big building back there in the same shot? Come on, come on, come on. Okay, let's see how this will work out. Yeah, so if you're building, let's say, this is just such a great stretch of food in New York. So you've got Tacombe, Daily Provisions. Up the block a little bit is Bluestone. There's Chirping Chicken, which is okay, but like if you're in the mood for chicken, it's a good spot. There's so much food. There's a bagel spot up the street on between 78th and 79th. That is the best bagel spot, I think. It's called Bagels & Co. I mean, there's so many good bagels and spots in New York, but But Bagels & Co. is pretty good. My go-to bagel order, everything bagel, toasted, plain cream cheese, and tomato. Oh, get that cold tomato on that warm toasted bagel. Yeah, good. And then on the corner up here, there's a little place called Amsterdam Ale House. Lots of beers on tap. Their food's pretty good too. So that's like 76th-ish in Amsterdam, which is always nice because that's next to an Equinox. So you get to sit outside in the summer and drink your face off while people come out of the gym.
Leave it.
I don't know. We've talked about just being more naive when we're walking around. It's apparently sometimes the way to do it. Hey, I'm coming to New York. I need a place to stay. There's a place on 77th between Amsterdam and Broadway called it's changed names a couple times, and I don't remember the name of it now. But it's on 77th between Amsterdam and Broadway. And Amsterdam and Broadway, it's a pretty short street. There's probably one hotel on it. I think it used to be called the Nilo, but I don't know what it's called now. All right, so we've got an operator model and an owner model, both on annual subscriptions, right? Which is totally fine. Like if you're like, hey, I'm going to get one of those models, pay for it, and then just cancel. Yeah, go for it. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You're still going to get all the updates that year. That's me as product owner having to make sure that there's enough value that people want to renew. Welcome to the world of enterprise software. All right, so I just got to say, like, I think the walk to Central Park, photography-wise, I like that a little bit better. But you never know, right? That's why you go for a walk and go to a new place, and you get a baseline of Central Park. It's always going to be hard to beat Central Park, but the views from Central Park are quite nice, especially on these longer lenses. Riverside's great. Nothing wrong with Riverside. I bet they're both just a tiny bit better in the spring and summer too. Hey, I walked 50 miles this year. Or I walked 50 miles in my workouts this year. Siri just chirped to me in my ear. So I'm not really sure what that says. When my walks are usually a mile and a half, 2.5 miles. If I do the arithmetic there, that's like what, 20 workouts? And we're February, middle of February? Okay, so operator, owner. And the last one I threw on there was advisor. I'm not that in love with the advisor name because I think, like, if I'm a client, I'm thinking I'm the owner, I'm the operator. Now I'm the advisor. Whereas I'm trying to suggest that I'm the advisor, like me, like product maker. So like in a typical matrix fashion, get the operator, then the next column over is owner. You get everything in the operator, you get everything in the operator plus You get quarterly updates to the config file and any new scenarios that are built. Both of those are annual subscriptions. So you get all that stuff in a year. At the end of the year, you'll get a message that says, hope you found value in this. Hopefully it's not the only time I send a message to you. Do you want to renew? If yes, here's where to do that. Okay, and then the third one is advisor mode. Advisor model, you get everything in the owner model, which is everything in the operator model. You get the same updates, configuration updates, renewal updates, configuration updates, and any new scenarios. And I will do a business review for you. Okay, so why did I put that together? Well, I figured there's certain people who want that human conversation, that we can leverage some AI. However, it's a third party that can come in and use all of my experience to help you with your business. Right, so ultimately that might be a business review. Here's what we've been doing, right? Current state, future state kind of stuff. What's the bridge between the two? It could be, here's what we're looking at in 2027, help us get there throughout the year. It could just be any of that stuff. And that really kind of blends in on my consulting model at a far less fee. That is also on an annual contract. So once a year, I'll do a review for you. That's it. So those are the three pieces.